AITA for ruining my ex's time with our daughter? My 32F ex-husband Mark, 34 meters, and I have 3 children together. 2 boys and 1 girl. They're all 9 years old. Triplets. Our daughter's name is Ellie, and she's always been much more sensitive than her brothers. She just behaved differently than they did. And in the beginning I dismissed it as the boys being identical and her being the fraternal triplet. But with time I realized it was more than that. Ellie was eventually diagnosed as autistic when she was 4. She's a very sweet and very quiet kid. She doesn't talk very much. And she absolutely hates too much sound. Anytime we have to go somewhere, I bring her noise-canceling headphones and a few of her favorite stim toys just in case the headphones don't help enough. Lately, when she has a meltdown, it dissolves into a panic attack and then she'll just be completely nonverbal for a day or 2. I hate seeing her go through that, so I do everything to help her manage and avoid her triggers as much as possible. Mark thinks I coddle her too much and that my efforts to help her avoid meltdowns and sensory overloads are actually just me giving in to her tantrums. He's gotten better about that mindset since his girlfriend Marissa, 33F, moved in with him, but sometimes he and I still argue about it. It's supposed to be his week with the kids, so I was just at home catching up on some cleaning when one of my sons called me on Marissa's cell. He said that Ellie had shut herself in her closet and was refusing to come out, and that their dad was getting upset with her about it. I asked him to put his dad on the phone. Mark immediately started telling me that he could handle Ellie's fits and that our son shouldn't have grabbed Marissa's phone to call me. But I told him that I at least wanted to talk about what had triggered Ellie to begin with. And I wanted to talk to her as well just to see if she was okay. He said Ellie was refusing to talk and that he'd call me back when she decided to start speaking again. As soon as he hung up on me, I grabbed my keys and drove over to his house. Marissa let me in and I went upstairs where he was lecturing Ellie through the door, and I could hear her sniffling. Mark looked pissed to see me, but the boys were standing there so he didn't say anything about it. Eventually, I got Ellie to come out of the closet, and she burst into tears and begged me to take her home. She wouldn't let go of my hand and didn't want to go anywhere near her dad. I knew that she'd probably lock herself away again if I left without her, so I told Mark that if she was feeling better in the morning I'd bring her back. He texted me a few times after we left, saying I ruined his time with Ellie and the reason she hates it over there is because I always come to her rescue. I told my mom about it and she thinks I shouldn't interfere with the kids when they're with their dad even if there's an issue, because I'd hate it if he did the same thing to me. Lately, when she has a meltdown, it dissolves into a panic attack and then she'll just be completely nonverbal for a day or 2. Bolding mine. This is a custody and child development issue, but any time there's a drastic change in behavior, you should look at what else is going on. Maybe there's some trauma or bullying. NTA. Your ex is actively harming your kid. He is the one ruining his time with Ellie. This seems like something to bring up with the court. It sounds like it's time for the custody situation to be changed. NTA. Your daughter felt extremely unsafe with a person. Does it matter who it is? Fathers don't get the freedom to hurt or abuse their children just because they're their father. He's your ex for a reason. He's not going to be a magically different person when interacting with your children. Let Mark be pissed. Because he's pissed he doesn't have permission to hurt her. Be your child's guardian and guard them. NTA. Mate. He's abusing her. He is refusing to take care of a disability and trying to force her to act normal. He is verbally abusing her whenever she has a meltdown. I wouldn't be surprised if that's why she's having panic attacks. If you send her back there, you are going to be a huge asshole and you will be an enabler in her abuse. Catering to a child's disability as a parent is not optional. It is a need and to not as neglect. If your child isn't in therapy, she needed to be yesterday, and you need to bring this up with the therapist. NTA. The way your ex treats Ellie being autistic is a huge red flag. They aren't tantrums. They're meltdowns caused by triggers, and you are 100% doing what you can to help her manage those. If he isn't going to take it seriously and provide a safe, stable and comfortable place for her, then he doesn't need to be left with her for extended periods. TBH. Yelling at a child having a meltdown due to sensory overload or triggers is the worst thing you could do for them. This is a very complex situation, but at the most basic level, your ex is blaming you for ruining his time with his daughter. However, it seems like one of her triggers and his subsequent reaction are actually to blame, rendering you NTA. He doesn't want to help her in the way she actually needs help. He's fixated on how things should be instead of how things are. He views it as coddling. So, does he just want her there to be there, even if she's miserable and hyperventilating in a closet? The situation before you arrived was so bad that your son called you on the phone. I don't blame you for a second for rescuing your little girl. It seems to be what she wanted. Hopefully the three of you can discuss this when tempers die down and know how to proceed the next time this situation rolls around. Your ex needs to understand that he might need to adjust some of his behaviors to accommodate your daughter if he wants her to feel comfortable staying with him. NTA. Would you hate it if he did the same thing to you? But aside from that, he may be getting better. But it doesn't sound like he's there yet. While we all know Ellie's not going to have the people and tools around to always help her deal, his tactics seem completely unhelpful and ineffective. Maybe part of daddy-daughter time for them should be with therapist that specializes in children on the spectrum. On your side, it sounds like you're doing everything you can to be a champion for Ellie, which is great. But in these conversations with Mark, have you discussed how you two are helping to prepare her for the moments neither of you is around? Or her usual tools are helping? You have to get him to admit to needing training on his end to handle her, which starts with admitting you aren't coddling her. And this isn't an act. If he won't do that, she's not safe in his care. For tomorrow, take her to a therapist and get it documented. In her words, what happened at Dad's house? When you get your boys back, take them to the therapist and get it documented what happened from their perspective. Then, see if Dad will go to the therapist. If he won't, tell him therapist or give you full custody of the girl. If he still won't go to therapy, get a lawyer. NTA and fight. NTA, but this is a child custody interference arrangement beyond the scope of Reddit. NTA. I wasn't diagnosed until 30, and this was basically my childhood. Getting overstimulated and getting in trouble. It was hell. You need to talk to your lawyer. Absolutely NTA, and you are an amazing mom. Never stop advocating for Ellie. Or for your boys. That being said, would your ex be open to family therapy to learn how to better parent Ellie and to deal with the realities of raising an autistic child? If he would, I'd highly recommend it. And yes, it shouldn't be your responsibility as the parent who's already empowered herself to raise and advocate for her child to make the other parent figure out how to do the same. But he's her dad, and him being a better dad will only help her. Just something to think about. NTA. Your son called you, and your ex's GF let him use the phone in order to call you. She let you into the house because she knew that your child was in distress and needed you. Everyone else in that house knows that Ellie needed help and to get away from him. Please protect the children, especially one that is differently abled. Go to court to get the custody ironed out. And see if you can include therapies and children first parent classes or something that he should take, since he's literally abusing her. Good luck with everything. NTA Marissa could even see that this was a huge problem. Enough of one that she gave your son her phone to call you. NTA. I have an autistic child and I'm on the spectrum myself. And I'll be the first to admit, there's something to be said for helping some higher functioning ASD kids stretch their limits when they're older and able to comprehend the goal of doing so. Your daughter is not older. She's not able to comprehend. These aren't tantrums, it's neural overload on a scale that neurotypical people literally cannot comprehend. Point in fact, I think it's your ex who doesn't truly understand what ASD is and how it affects kids. For my son, parent-child interaction therapy was great for both of us. I'd recommend it for Ellie and Mark. It'll teach him how to play and interact with her on an appropriate level. NTA. Ex and girlfriend need to get on board with being trained to deal with your daughter. He seems to want to deny that the issue exists. Your son's understanding the issues and we're right to call. Make sure they know to call because the ex will definitely try to make them stop that. I'm going to go with NTA. Because your kids are telling you they need you and you did what a mom would do. I will say that he will need to learn to help Ellie without you. And maybe some family therapy sessions to get everyone working together would be beneficial. As a young adult on the autism spectrum, do what you are doing for your kid. Fight for her. I can say that it is hard. And the help we need after meltdowns is exactly what you are providing. I honestly recommend adding a custody order. Yes, it means your ability to move houses will be limited. But it will give legal safeguards for all three of your kids. Document everything you have seen, heard, and witnessed. Find a counselor your kids can confide in if abuse is happening behind closed doors. I worry that the attitude didn't change based on Ellie's panic attacks. I think that there is more than what any of your kids are able to express. NTA. You son called you. That says everything. Your 9-year-old son knew better than their own dad what to do. NTA. Has your ex spoken with your daughter's doctor so that she might be able to explain to him about autism and how to be patient with your daughter? NTA. He either did something to trigger it or allowed a trigger to happen. His yelling was making it worse, adding to the loud noise. Until he can get his temper under control, keep going to her rescue.
If you enjoyed this video, please check out our playlists full of similar content. AmITheAsshole is like doom scrolling for your ears. Please like, share, and subscribe.